ओके Panchakalapatarvyacha Pasandabhyacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavibhyo Namo Namaha. So we are here. Okay. সরল বুদ্ধি দ্বারা আলোচনা করিলে জীবের জড়বদ্ধাবস্থাকে শোচনীয় অবস্থা বলিয়া প্রতীত হয়. I think somebody is trying to enter. Yes. He's trying to enter. Has he entered? No, he hasn't. Okay, can you see now? Can you see? How do I know? Can you see my screen? All right. Okay. সরল বুদ্ধি দ্বারা আলোচনা করিলে please mute yourselves. Who has come in just now, please mute yourselves. I'm hearing some noises. সরল বুদ্ধি দ্বারা আলোচনা করিলে, if one analyzes with the simple intelligence, straightforward intelligence, without undue, unnecessary, complicated argumentations, it will be plain that the living entity's status of being conditioned by matter to be a status which is lamentable. শোচনীয় অবস্থা হইতে কোনো মঙ্গলময় বিশুদ্ধ অবস্থা প্রাপ্তির জন্য কোনো উপায় অবলম্বন করা উচিত বলিয়া বোধ হয়. And it also appears that the living entity should adopt some means by which he can come to an auspicious, pure platform from the current lamentable platform. সেই বিশুদ্ধ অবস্থাকে উপেয় বা প্রয়োজন বলি. And that is what we refer to as the goal. That pure status is what we refer to as the goal, that which is meant to be achieved. It's considered our goal, it's considered our need or necessity. যদ দ্বারা তাহা প্রাপ্ত হওয়া যায় তাহাকে উপায় বলি. And that by which you attain that goal or need, that is referred to as a means. Upeya or prayojana refers to the goal. Upaya refers to the means. शास्त्रोकारगण केहो यज्ञ के, केहो योग के, केहो तर्क के, केहो पुण्य के, केहो वैराग्य के, केहो तपस्या के, केहो धर्मयुद्ध के, केहो ईश्वर उपासना के, केहो धर्म के, केहो गुरु उपसति के, केहो प्रायश्चित्त के ও কেহ দানকে প্রয়োজন প্রাপ্তির উপায় বলিয়া স্থির করিয়াছেন. Amongst the authors of scriptural literature, some have concluded that the means, upaya, the means to attain the goal, prayojana, or the need, the means to attain the need or the means to attain the goal, some have stated that it is through yajna, fire sacrifices. Keho yoga ke, some of them have stated it is through yoga practices, some through logical argumentation, tarka, some through punya, through accumulating pious credits or by engaging in pious activities, some through vairagya, by giving up first sinful activities and then giving up even family life and engaging in the activities of detachment and renunciation. Some have attributed the means to attaining the goal to tapasya or austerity, some to dharma yuddha, dharmic war, some to worship of the Supreme Lord, Ishvara Upasana, some to dharma, some to Guru Basatti, to service to one's Guru, some to the system of atonement or prayaschitta, and some to charity or dana. एवं विध नाना नामे अवैज्ञानिक रूपे अभिहित हइया उपाय तत्व असंख्य हइया उठिलो. So in that way, in various names, the principle of upaya or the means to attain the goal were referred to in a very unscientific manner, and in various names. So then the means became innumerable. Kale Bigyan Ekarje Hostakep Korile Kaje Kaje Sankar Laghav Hoya Podilo. When scientific thinking entered into the scene, then as a natural consequence, the number began to reduce. দেখা গেল যে ওই সকল উপায় ভিন্ন ভিন্ন তিনটি তত্ত্বের অধীন। ওই তিনটি তত্ত্বের নাম কর্ম, জ্ঞান ও ভক্তি। Then it was found out that the means come under three categories. The names of those three categories are karma, jnana and bhakti. স্বতঃসিদ্ধ আত্মপ্রত্যয় ও বিশুদ্ধ বিচার দ্বারা নিশ্চিত হইয়াছে যে জীবের সিদ্ধ সত্তা চিন্ময়ী. It has been concluded by natural self-realization, that means through intuitive knowledge, as well as through purified deliberation, that the factual existence of the jiva is spiritual. The living entity is factually spiritual. মাতৃগর্ভে উৎপত্তি কেবল ওই সিদ্ধ সত্তার জড়বদ্ধ দশা মাত্র. Birth from the womb of a mother, that is only a phase or a status, a particular phase of the material conditioning of that factual existence, spiritual existence of the living entity. অচিন্ত অবিতর্ক শক্তি ভগবানের ইচ্ছা ব্যতীত চিত্তত্বের জড় সম্বন্ধের অন্য হেতু বা সম্ভাবনা নাই, তাহা পরিমেয় নরবুদ্ধি সীমান্তর্গত নহে। অতএব উভয় দশা ভেদে জীব দুই প্রকার, মুক্ত ও বদ্ধ. Other than the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, who possesses inconceivable and avitarkya means supra-rational energies which are neither conceivable nor can they be understood by our own rational thinking alone. Other than the will of the Supreme Personality of Godhead who possesses such energies, there is no reason for there's no other reason for spiritual entities to have any relationship with matter. It is not within the limited human intelligence, measurable limited human intelligence, to be able to understand that. Therefore, the living entity is said to be in two statuses: liberated or conditioned, mukta, baddha. মুক্ত জীব দুই প্রকার, অর্থাৎ কোন কোন জীব কখনো বদ্ধ হন নাই, অর্থাৎ নিত্য মুক্ত, এবং কোন কোন জীব বদ্ধ অবস্থা হইতে মুক্তি লাভ করিয়াছে, অর্থাৎ বন্ধন মুক্ত। The liberated jivas are also of two types. Some of the living entities have never ever been bound. They are called nitya mukta, and some of the living entities have attained liberation from the conditioned status. So these are baddha mukta, or they are liberated from conditioning in the past. Ubhay vida mukta jivaye shastra atit. Both of these living entities who are liberated are beyond the regulations of Shastra. Beyond the regulations of Shastra means that they naturally follow their constitutional duties, so they don't need to follow Shastra. Shastra is meant for conditioned souls. That is the point. কর্ম জ্ঞান ও ভক্তির যে পার্থক্য বদ্ধজীবে লক্ষিত হয় তাহা মুক্তজীবে নাই. The distinctions between karma, jnana and bhakti that are found in the baddha jivas, conditioned souls, they are not found in the liberated souls. Karma, jnana, prema vrittir, upadhi bishesh. Karma and jnana are two designations on the function of the living entity, which is love of Godhead. সেই উপাধি যে জীবের প্রেম রূপ নিত্য ধর্মকে স্পর্শ করে তাহারই বদ্ধাবস্থা. Only those living entities whose eternal nature of love of Godhead has been touched by these two designations, only these living entities experience the conditioned status. জীবের বদ্ধাবস্থায় ভগবত বহির্মুখতা রূপ উপাধি সহকারে প্রেমবৃত্তি বিকৃত হইয়া ধর্ম কর্ম রূপ একটি আকার প্রাপ্ত হয় ও স্থলবিশেষে জ্ঞান রূপে আর এক প্রকার আকার পাইয়া থাকে. সাধন ভক্তি ওই বৃত্তির তৃতীয় আকার. When the living entity when the function of the living entity known as love of Godhead, when that becomes perverted due to being in touch with the designation of aversion to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then that function of love of Godhead it attains the form of dharma or karma, to be more precise, and in specific situations it attains another form known as jnana. Sadhana bhakti is the third form that it assumes for those who accept sadhana bhakti. তন্মধ্যে সাধনা ভক্তি রূপ আকারটি বদ্ধজীবের স্বাস্থ্য লক্ষণ, অপর দুইটি আকার জড় সম্বন্ধ রূপ পীড়ার লক্ষণ. Amongst these three, the form of sadhana bhakti, it characterizes the good health of the conditioned soul. The other two forms, they characterize the pain experienced by the living entity that has come in touch with matter. Sharir satte karma apariharjo. As long as, what is this? Somebody is trying to come in. Let me see. Yes, he's trying to come in. Sharir satte karma apariharya. As long as the body exists, karma is unavoidable. Sharir jatra nirbahir জন্য যে সমস্ত কার্য করা যায় তন্মধ্যে যে সকল কর্ম জগতের অমঙ্গলজনক সেই সকলকে বিকর্ম বা কুকর্ম বলে। মঙ্গলজনক কর্ম না করার নামই অকর্ম। যে সকল কর্ম জগন মঙ্গলজনক সেই সকলকে কর্ম বলে। In order to maintain the body, various activities are performed. Amongst those activities which cause inauspiciousness to the world, we refer to them as vikarma or kukarma. Vikarma means perverted activities. Kukarma means bad activities. To not perform activities which cause auspiciousness is known as akarma. যে সকল কর্ম জগন মঙ্গলজনক সেই সকলকে কর্ম বলে। And those activities which cause auspiciousness to the world, we refer to all of them as karma. So here we can, it's very simple. Activities are of three types. Karma, we are talking of activities to maintain the body, are of three types. You have vikarma, you have akarma, and you have karma. Karma refers to activities which produce auspiciousness. Vikarma refers to activities which produce inauspiciousness. Then you have some to not perform auspicious activities, that is referred to as akarma. Vikarma and akarma are disadvantageous. Karma is advantageous. That is the basic idea. Here akarma simply means not performing what he's supposed to do. It's like in the court, there are two types of crimes that are recognized: active crimes and passive crimes. Active crime means you're doing something which hurts others and so on. Passive crime is a crime in which you are not hurting anyone, but you're not doing what you're supposed to do. Like if you don't pay income tax, okay, that is a passive crime. You try to rob a bank, that is an active crime. So akarma is a label that is given to non-performance of one's material duties. Vikarma refers to performance of forbidden activities. Karma refers to performance of auspicious activities. कर्म चारि प्रकार अर्थात शारीरिक, मानसिक, सामाजिक और आध्यात्मिक. Karma refers to, there are four types of karma: bodily, mental, social and spiritual. কর্ম মাত্রেরই একটি একটি অবান্তর ফল আছে, যথা আহারের ফল শরীর পোষণ ও বিবাহের ফল সন্তান উৎপত্তি. For every activity there are interim benefits, interim results. Just as the result of eating is nourishment of the body, the result of marriage is production of children, generation of children. So these are interim results, meaning that they are immediate results, results which can be experienced in this very life and in fact much very soon. অবান্তর ফলগুলি সহজেই লক্ষিত হয়, কিন্তু বৈজ্ঞানিক চক্ষে দৃষ্টি করিলে শান্তি ওই সকল ফলের চরম ফল বলিয়া সিদ্ধান্তিত হইবে. The immediate results or the interim results can be easily observed, but when we observe with scientific, uh, with the eyes of scientific observation, then we have to conclude that the ultimate result, so you have an interim result, but you have the ultimate result. Amongst all the results, there is one ultimate result, and that is Shanti or peace. বিজ্ঞানকে আর কিছু দূর চালিত করিলেই দেখা যাইবে যে জড় যন্ত্রণা হইতে ক্রমশ মুক্ত হইয়া ভগবত চরণের সেবা লাভ হই পরম শান্তি. And if you activate scientific understanding even further, then it can be seen that attainment of service to the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, after gradually attaining liberation from the tortures of matter, is ultimate peace, ultimate param shanti, ultimate peace. Ahar, bihar, vyayam, nidra, shaucha ityadi sharir palak karma, যজ্ঞ, ব্রত, অষ্টাঙ্গ যোগ প্রভৃতি অনেক প্রকার সামাজিক, শারীরিক ও মানসিক কর্ম উপদিষ্ট হইয়াছে। তন্মধ্যে অষ্টাঙ্গ যোগে যম, নিয়ম, আসন ও প্রাণায়াম এই চারটি শারীর যোগ, প্রত্যাহার, ধ্যান, ধারণা ইহারা মানস যোগ এবং সমাধি আধ্যাত্মিক যোগ। Eating, recreation, sleeping, cleansing, and so on. These are all activities related to the body. Sacrifice, vows, Ashtanga yoga. In this way, there are many social, bodily, and mental activities which have been instructed. Amongst them, in Ashtanga yoga, Yama, Niyama, Asana, and Pranayama, these four are yoga related to the body. Pratyahara, Dhyana, Dharana, these are activities of yoga related to the mind. And Samadhi is Adhyatmik. So this is an activity of yoga related to the soul, spiritual it is. সেই সমুদায় শারীরিক, মানসিক ও আধ্যাত্মিক কর্ম. So all of them, they are bodily, mental, and spiritual activities. Bede o manvadi বিংশতি ধর্মশাস্ত্রে যজ্ঞ, দান, ব্রত ও বর্ণাশ্রম বিহিত সর্বপ্রকার সামাজিক কর্মের ব্যবস্থা আছে. In the Veda, as well as in the 20 Dharma Shastras, beginning with Manu Samhita, there is an arrangement for social activities of various types in the form of yajna, fire sacrifices or sacrifices, dana, charity, vrata, observance of various vows, and the various social activities of different types presented in the varnashrama system. যে যে শাস্ত্রে ওই সকল কর্মের ব্যবস্থা দেখা যায়, সেই সেই শাস্ত্রে ওই সকল কর্মের আপাতত অবান্তর ফলসমূহ কথিত হইয়াছে বটে, কিন্তু সেই সেই শাস্ত্রের চরম সিদ্ধান্তে কোনো প্রকার শান্তি লক্ষণ ফলেরই উল্লেখ দেখা যায়। If we observe the arrangement for karma present in the shastras, in those shastras which present this, then superficially it is a fact that they have presented the interim results of these activities. But one can find mention of the result characterized by some type of peace as the ultimate conclusion of those scriptures. This requires an explanation. Take for instance a scripture like Manu Samhita. or Yagyavalkya Samhita. Also, these are known as Manusmriti, Yagyavalkya Smriti. They begin by presenting the system of Varnashrama. If you take Manusamhita, it elaborately describes uh, the Varnashrama system. It talks about Prayaschitta. But ultimately, it talks about how what the living entity can do to attain liberation. Yagyavalkya Smriti also talks about how to attain liberation. There are places where these topics come up. So ultimately, they are all pushing us towards peace. And peace can only happen if you are out of the material environment. They make that very clear. Because this environment of repeated birth, death, old age, disease, this is not a peaceful environment for the souls. अष्टांग योग शास्त्रे विभूति पादे नाना प्रकार ऐश्वर्य रूप अवान्तर फल कथित हइया कैवल्य पादे केवल शांति के फल बोलिया स्थिर करा हइयाछे. In the scripture that presents Ashtanga Yoga, in the section that talks about the various opulences, various forms of opulences, achievement of various forms of opulences have been presented as interim results. But then it has been concluded in the section that talks about Kaivalya, or isolating the soul from matter, that peace is the result, the real result. সকল কর্মেই প্রথমে সুখভোগ রূপ ফলদানের প্রতিজ্ঞা করিয়া থাকে, কিন্তু চরমে সমস্ত সুখের অনিত্যতা দেখাইয়া কৈবল্যাদি শান্তি সুখকেই শ্রেষ্ঠ বলিয়া তৎপ্রতি লক্ষ্যবদ্ধ করা. All the if you look at the scriptures, what they do is, first of all, they present karma as that which can give you happiness and enjoyment. So this is what these scriptures first of all do. They promise this. First of all, they do this. But then ultimately, they point out that all of these types of happiness and enjoyment are temporary, and that the happiness of peace in the form of kaivalya, isolating the soul from matter and so on, they have been considered to be better, and they point the reader towards that. কৈবল্যাদি শান্তি ভুক্তি অপেক্ষা শ্রেষ্ঠ হইলেও দুঃখ অভাব মাত্র স্বয়ং সুখ বিশেষ নহে. Happiness that has been characterized as kaivalya, or isolating the soul from matter, though better than bhukti or material enjoyment, is merely absence of distress. It is not by itself a certain type of happiness. তখন কোন প্রকার ব্রহ্মজ্ঞান রূপ চিৎ সুখের অন্বেষণ হয়. Then one begins to investigate about spiritual happiness in the form of knowledge of Brahman of some type, the knowledge of Brahman or realization of Brahman and so on. অভেদ ব্রহ্ম সুখ পর্যন্ত সমস্ত অবান্তর ফল অতিক্রম করিয়া যখন ভগৎ সেবা সুখ পরিলক্ষিত হয়, তখনই কর্ম ভক্তি রূপে পরিণত হইয়া পড়ে. When one crosses over all interim fruits or all interim results, including ultimately even the happiness of realizing the undifferentiated Brahman, and when you aim at that happiness, which is part and parcel of service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then karma, which is aimed at that, becomes transformed into bhakti. অতএব ভক্তি জীবের কর্মফলের চরম উদ্দেশ্য. Therefore, bhakti is the ultimate goal of all the results of karma for the living entity. What this means is, initially we may be engaged in these activities of karma for attaining material benefits that only karma can provide. Then one starts to look for something higher. Then he comes to the realization that if I can just get out of matter, then I'll become happy. So then he aims at kaivalya and such forms of happiness. Then he realizes, no, I should experience the Brahma Jyoti, Brahman. Then that will make me fully happy. Then when he realizes that there's something more than that, is service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then he makes that as his aim. Then he gradually understands that in order to do that, he has to increase his engagement in bhakti and so on. So gradually karma gives way to bhakti. যে কর্মে ওই চরম উদ্দেশ্য লক্ষিত হয় নাই, সেই কর্ম ভগবত বহির্মুখ, তাহাকেই কর্ম বলা যায়. In fact, those activities of karma which do not aim at the ultimate goal, they are averse to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And actually, only they can be referred to as karma. ভগবত সেবা পরায়ণ হইলে তাদৃশ কর্মের নাম সাধনা ভক্তি হয়. তখন actually it should be তখন কর্ম নাম থাকে না. When one becomes focused on service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, then that kind of karma becomes sadhana bhakti. It does not have the name karma anymore. What this means is, when one engages in sadhana bhakti in order to attain the Supreme Lord, then karma becomes an assistant to bhakti. So the result of engaging in activities which assist bhakti is purification of the heart. It is no longer, since you are only interested in attaining sadhana bhakti, in attaining love of Godhead as your ultimate goal, then these material activities, they start producing purification of heart. Now normally these very same activities, material activities, they would produce bondage. But these material activities, they start producing purification of heart. Of course, this purification of heart can directly come from bhakti also. But for those who are unable to engage in bhakti constantly, they will need to engage in bhakti along with the activities of karma. So then karma is just like an iron rod, when placed in fire, becomes fiery by nature. So you have fire. Fire is always fire. Fire can never become non-fire. Fire is always fiery. So the activities of bhakti is like that. Bhakti has its own nature. When karma is mixed with bhakti, that is like an iron rod which is placed in fire. It is now fiery by nature. And just as we don't touch fire, we don't touch iron rod which is placed in fire also. Like for instance, if you connect a soldering device to electricity, now it has fire. It ignites. So we don't touch that. So we don't touch the flame of a candle, but we don't touch this also. We don't touch this also when it is connected to electricity. When it is disconnected from electricity, then you can touch it as many times as you want. There's nothing. So karma has the effect of now again, that soldering device, it has certain features of fire. It does not have all the features of fire. That also we should remember. Uh, so like that, karma can give up to hrid vishuddhi, purification of heart from lust, anger, greed, and so on. That much it can do. And then it is considered to be an assistant to bhakti. জড়বদ্ধ হইলেও জীব স্বয়ং স্বরূপতঃ চিন্ময় তত্ত্ব, অতএব তাহার পক্ষে জ্ঞান আলোচনা স্বাভাবিক. Even though the living entity is bound by matter, he is by himself, by his constitutional nature, a spiritual entity. Therefore, for him to deliberate on knowledge is natural. ज्ञान आलोचना चारि प्रकार, अर्थात जड़ीय ज्ञान आलोचना, लैंगिक ज्ञान आलोचना, जड़ और लिंगेर व्यतिरेक ज्ञान आलोचन और शुद्ध ज्ञान आलोचना. There are 4 types of deliberation of knowledge. Deliberation of material knowledge, grossly material knowledge. Deliberation of subtle material knowledge. Deliberation of knowledge which is beyond grossly material and subtly material. And deliberation and pure deliberation of knowledge, or deliberation of pure knowledge, we can say. See, the basic idea is this. In Amnaya Sutra, is it Amnaya Sutra or Tattva Sutra? Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes that the living entity has 2 features. One is to analyze and understand. The other is to have affection. So he says the first one, that very desire to analyze and understand things, that is what becomes perverted in these ways. We see even amongst the conditioned souls, everyone wants to know and understand. Know, understand, realize, perceive. This is all, this desire to know, this is all part of the knowledge category. Then you have the desire to love, be loved, and so on. That the second category, that Bhaktivinoda Thakur explained already in the previous paragraph, that it is perverted in the form of karma. Now the living entity's original natural analytical ability, that is perverted in the form of these 4 different ways. One should not mistakenly think that when you become more and more serious in Krishna consciousness, you will lose your thinking capacity or your ability to know, understand, and all that. That is completely wrong, because the fully liberated soul is in knowledge. It is in knowledge. It understands. It has knowledge, it has understanding, it has realization. So these are 2 features. What is that? I'm not able to get it. Right. Just a minute. Why am I not getting a... Just escaping my mind. Not that. Okay, let me try this. An important sutra. I often quote it also. Why suddenly it's not coming to my head? Not here also. Anyway, let it open. After it opens, I'll show you. Okay, darshan श्रवणादिमय जड़ीय विषय ज्ञानी जड़ीय ज्ञान. Ordinary knowledge of sense objects, material sense objects, through sight, through hearing, and so on. This is just ordinary material knowledge. ध्यान, धारणा, कल्पना, विभावनामय मानस जगतेर ज्ञान के लैंगिक ज्ञान बोले. Then there is knowledge of the mental realm, the world of the mind, through meditation, dhyana, dharana, through imagination, through varied thinking. This is a different type of knowledge. Here, knowledge refers to knowledge of gross matter and knowledge of subtle matter. Okay. What is that? Pravrittitvat. Pravrittitvat. Then it isn't Tattva Sutra. It's not here. Not there. I don't have Tattva Sutra. I can't believe it. Why I don't have it?
I think you can write TATV Tattva.
Okay. Then जोड़ीय ओ लैंगिक ज्ञान के अष्टांग योगेर अंतर्गत समाधि अथवा सांख्य योगीर अतन निरसन प्रक्रिया द्वारा स्थगित करिले जड़ ओ लिंगेर व्यतिरेक ज्ञान रूप कूट समाधि है. When one comes to the point of samadhi within the Ashtanga Yoga system, or when one adopts the procedure of rejecting everything that is not Brahman, which is accepted by the Sankhya yogis of impersonalistic Vedanta, and they put a stop to acquisition of the knowledge of gross matter and subtle matter, then they attain something known as the summit of samadhi, the highest achievement of samadhi. Of course, this is all he's using typical expressions that are found in the Ashtanga Yoga literature. And this is knowledge that is beyond knowledge of gross matter and subtle matter also. এই স্থলে शंकरीय अभेद ब्रह्मवाद अथवा पतंजलीय ईश्वर सायुज्य रूप कैवल्यवाद उदित है. And this is where we come across Shankaracharya's philosophy of impersonal Brahman, or Patanjali's philosophy of merging into Ishvara. This is this idea of Kaivalya. So these conceptions are related to attainment of knowledge that is beyond knowledge of gross matter and knowledge of subtle matter. निरुपाधिक चित्तत्वेर शुद्ध अवस्थाय अर्थात स्थूल और लिंगेर साक्षात दर्शन बा कूट समाधिर व्यतिरेक भावना दूर हইলে शुद्ध चित्तत्वेर सहज प्रकाश হয়. তাহার नाम सहज समाधि बा शुद्ध ज्ञान. এই জ্ঞানই ভক্তি পোষক. At the status of spiritual realization free from all designations. In other words, when this indirect conception in the form of kuta samadhi or unmediated perception uh, of gross matter and subtle matter, when these conceptions are removed, then naturally the pure spiritual entity uh, is revealed. This is natural samadhi. This is not artificial samadhi. This expression natural samadhi is used by Bhaktivinoda in other places also. This is what is known as pure knowledge or pure realization. The word jnana in Sanskrit used within the Vedanta system does not refer to just book knowledge. Knowledge is of different levels. There is learning, just gathering information. This is Shravanam, the first step of knowledge. Then there is processing all this data and coming to some conclusions through thinking. This is called understanding, manana. Then one has to ensure that he has no doubts. This is called nididhyasana, samshaya chedana. Then one has to come to the point of darshana, revelation. One actually does things by which God reveals everything. This is realization. So he's talking about pure knowledge in the sense of the highest type of knowledge known as realization. And it is this knowledge which nourishes bhakti. So one should never have the misconception that knowledge of sambandha does not nourish bhakti. It always nourishes Shuddha Bhakti. জ্ঞান আলোচনা দ্বারা বদ্ধ জীব প্রথমে জড়জগতের ভিন্ন ভিন্ন বস্তু সকলের জ্ঞান সংগ্রহ করে. It is through deliberation of knowledge, it is through accumulation of knowledge that the conditioned soul first of all accumulates knowledge about the various items of material world. পরে ওই সকল বস্তুগত ধর্ম এবং বস্তু সকলের মিলন অবস্থায় সেই সমস্ত ধর্ম উদিত হইলে ওই সকল বিষয়ে অবগত হইয়া থাকে। কখনো বা ওই সকল বস্তু ও ধর্ম আলোচনা করিয়া সকলের কর্তা ও পালয়িত্রী রূপ ঈশ্বরকে নির্দেশ করতঃ তাহার প্রতি এক প্রকার হৈতিকী ভক্তি প্রদর্শন করে। কখনো বা ওই জগৎকে নশ্বর জানিয়া নিজে বৈরাগ্য সাধন করে এবং প্রপঞ্চাতীত কোনো অনির্বচনীয় তত্ত্বের সহিত আপনাকে মিলিত করিয়া অভেদ ব্রহ্মবাদের কল্পনা করে। কখনো বা বস্তুর অস্তিত্বের প্রতি ঘৃণা করিয়া নাস্তিত্ব ও নির্বাণকেই সুখ বলিয়া তাহা প্রাপ্ত হইবার জন্য উদ্যোগ করে। So after that elementary stage of accumulation of knowledge, then one begins to understand what he has analyzed. He actually begins to look for the characteristics of all of these items of this world, and the characteristics when these items are combined in various ways. This is a one sentence summary of what goes on in the form of scientific experimentation in the natural world. They study they study whatever they perceive, and they try to understand the characteristics and attributes of them individually in isolation and also in combination. Sometimes by studying these items as well as their characteristics, they reveal a certain form of motivated devotion towards God, who has created everything and who is maintaining everything. This you find amongst the Christians. The early scientists were all Christians, and they wanted to study this world. They wanted to do scientific investigation as a service to God, in order to understand God, um, for various reasons, for material upliftment and for fulfillment of material necessities and various things. This is all Haituki Bhakti. So sometimes they do that. At other times, they understand that this world is transient or temporary, and they personally engage in activities which promote personal detachment, how they can become detached and renounced from this world, and they want to merge into that truth which is beyond expression and which is beyond material existence. So then they imagine the philosophy of impersonal Brahman. Sometimes they develop hatred towards existence of entities themselves, and they consider non-existence and nirvana means attainment of voidism, attainment of the void, you can say nihilism, to be happiness. So then they prepare themselves for that, they endeavor for that. যে রূপে আলোচনা করুক না কেন, অভেদ চিন্তা ও নির্বাণ চিন্তাকে অকিঞ্চিত কর জানিয়া জীব অবশেষে কোনো পরম তত্ত্বের আনুগত্য স্বীকার করে. Whatever way they may analyze, they ultimately the jiva understands that the thought process of impersonalism and the thought process of nihilism are insignificant. Ultimately they accept subordination unto some supreme truth. সেই আনুগত্য স্পষ্টীভূত হইলেই ভক্তি হইয়া উঠে. When that obedience to that supreme truth becomes clear, then it is revealed to be bhakti. অতএব ভক্তি জীবের জ্ঞান ফলের চরম উদ্দেশ্য. Therefore it is bhakti which is ultimately pointed out by the results of jnana. কর্মের অবান্তর ফল ভুক্তি ও জ্ঞানের অবান্তর ফল মুক্তি, এবং তদ উভয়ের চরম ফল রূপ ভক্তিকে বুঝিতে হইবে. The interim result of karma is bhukti, material enjoyment, and the interim result of jnana is mukti or liberation, and the ultimate result of both of them should be understood to be bhakti. Now the reason why Bhaktivinoda Thakur writes like this is to point out that all the scriptures are well coordinated towards a single ultimate goal. The scriptures are not haphazard, disoriented, caused by multiple personalities. There is only one supreme being who is behind this entire tree of Vedic knowledge. And ultimately there is only one goal. So therefore Bhaktivinoda Thakur he often points this out in his writings. যে স্থলে জ্ঞান ভক্তিকেই চরম ফল বলিয়া উদ্দেশ না করে, সেই স্থলে জ্ঞান সোপাধিক ও ভগবত বহির্মুখ, এবং যে স্থলে ভক্তিকেই উদ্দেশ করিয়া জ্ঞানের চালনা হয়, সেই স্থলে জ্ঞানকে সাধন ভক্তি বলা যায়. In those circumstances when jnana does not point towards bhakti as its ultimate goal, then that form of jnana is designated, materially designated. It is designated in some way. It is not free from all designations. And it is ours to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. And in that circumstance, when jnana points towards bhakti and is active and functioning, then that jnana can be called sadhana bhakti. In other words, then that jnana would be considered an aspect of sadhana bhakti. In other words, it helps one in sadhana bhakti. These are also topics which Bhaktivinoda has. Yes, got it. Has brought out elsewhere. No, what is this? Okay, wait. How will I find this is the old style? So, Swarupa Pravrittitvat. Swarupa Pravrittitvat. Okay, wait. Vichara Rago, got it. Vichara Rago Chetana Dharmo Swarupa Pravrittitvat. The conditions, sorry, not the conditioned soul, the living entity itself, the conscious spirit itself possesses two characteristics. One is vichara, deliberation. One is raga, or affection or love. Because vichara is the swarupa, it's the nature. Raga is the function of the living entity. So this is something that Bhaktivinoda Thakur does point out. The relation between karma, jnana and bhakti, that wait, it'll be, if I take it up from Amnaya Sutra, that will be good also. Amnaya Sutra. Okay. Okay. A little back. Okay. Regarding the means to attain the ultimate goal, Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he writes, Nitya karma hyeva abhideyam ityeke. Some say that performance of the regular activities of the karma system is the means to attain the ultimate goal. Then some others, they have another idea. Chinmatra advaita jnanam abhideyam ityapare. Others think that the means to attain the ultimate goal is cultivation of non-dual knowledge of pure spirit, Chinmatra Advaita. In other words, it means cultivating impersonal knowledge, understanding, and realization. Others think that that is the means. Then Bhaktivinoda Thakur points out, Yatra dharmaya karma viragaya dharmas chidrasaya viragas tatra gaunarupena karmaiva abhideyam. When karma is performed to attain dharma or pious credits, and pious credits are attained in order to attain viraga. Viraga means vairagya, renunciation, in order to become detached and renounced. And you want to become detached and renounced in order to come to the point of relishing spiritual rasa with Krishna, then karma is accepted as a secondary means, gauna rupena. It's accepted as a secondary means. Same way, yatra chit rasaya jnanam tatra gauna rupena jnanam abhideyam. What is this? When one accepts the process of Vedantic knowledge, in order to come to the point of attaining spiritual rasa with Krishna, then that process of knowledge is accepted as a secondary form of abhideya, is a secondary means, not primary means. Chidvishesha spurti sadhanam abhideyam iti bhagyavantaha. And those who are very fortunate, those who are fortunate souls, they know that the means is that which causes the revelation of spiritual variegatedness. This is a reference to activities of the bhakti system. So, for bhakti, notice that he has not used the word gauna rupena, because this is the primary means. He does not even say mukhya rupena, because this is actually the means. The other ones, you can make them secondary means if you want, or you may not. You can simply engage in bhakti and everything will come. This is optional add-on. Similarly, the activities of karma also are an optional add-on. If you engage in them along with bhakti, provided all these terms and conditions are fulfilled, then you can attain, you can consider them to be secondary goals, secondary tools to attain the goal. অনেকে মনে করেন যে ভক্তির নিত্যসিদ্ধ স্বরূপ নাই, কেবল কর্মের বিশুদ্ধ অবস্থা ও জ্ঞানের কৈবল্য অবস্থাকেই ভক্তি বলা যায়। এইরূপ সিদ্ধান্ত ভ্রমাত্মক। Many people think that bhakti has no eternally established nature. In other words, most people don't understand that bhakti is an activity which functions fully on the spiritual platform in the spiritual world, for instance. They think that bhakti is nothing but the pure status that comes when one engages in activities of the karma system. And some others think that the purified status of jnana, that can be called bhakti. They think that this is what can be called bhakti. In other words, these are all features now, but ultimately it is you end up in enjoyment bhukti, or you end up in mukti. Bhakti is maximum a means, it is not a goal. So many people think like this. Erup siddhanto bhramatmak. This is a mistaken conclusion. सूक्ष्मदर्शी पंडितगण बोलें जे विशुद्ध आत्मार आस्वादन वृत्तिर परिचालना के केवला অকিঞ্চনা বা অনন্যা ভক্তি বলা যায়, তাহার অন্যতম নাম প্রেম। আবার আত্মার বিচার বৃত্তির পরিচালনাকে জ্ঞান বলে। The scholars who observe very minutely, they say that the relishing, the soul's function of relishing, activating that can be called kevala bhakti, akinchana bhakti, or ananya bhakti. Another name for that is prema, love of Godhead. And the soul's function of vichar, deliberation, understanding, to activate that which activates that can be called jnana. आस्वादन शून्य विचार চরমে প্রায়ে অভেদ ব্রহ্মবাদ বা নির্বাণ বাদ রূপ অনর্থকে আনয়ন করে। When one engages in such a deliberation without relishing, then almost in under all circumstances it brings about the disaster in the form of impersonal Brahman idea, the philosophy of impersonal Brahman, or the philosophy of voidism. जीव स्वभावतः ही आसादन प्रधान. The living entity is primarily, by its own nature, engaged in relishing. केवल विचारमय হইতে গেলে স্বস্বভাব হইতে চ্যুত হইতে যায় হইতে হয়. If one only becomes deliberative, then he falls down from his very nature. জ্ঞান যখন প্রেমের প্রতি লক্ষ্য করে তখন জ্ঞানমিশ্রা ভক্তি হয়. When jnana is aimed at prema, then there is jnanamishra bhakti. জ্ঞান যখন প্রেম প্রাচুর্য ক্রমে বিচার বৃত্তিকে স্থগিত করে তখন কেবলা ভক্তি রূপে প্রকাশিত হয়. And when that knowledge, it stops the deliberative power due to an abundance of love, then it is that jnana is manifested in the form of kevala bhakti. জীবের সত্তা নিত্য, অতএব তাহার আলোচনা বৃত্তিও নিত্যা. The living entity's existence is eternal. Therefore, the function of its deliberation or analysis, that is also eternal. আলোচনা বৃত্তি নিত্য হইলে তাহার কার্য সুতরাং নিত্য. If the function of deliberation is eternal, then its effect is also consequently that is also eternal. মুক্ত অবস্থা ও বদ্ধ অবস্থা ভেদে জীবের কার্য দুই প্রকার, অর্থাৎ নিরুপাধিক ও সোপাধিক. The effect experienced by the living entity is of two types, corresponding to whether he is in the status of liberation or whether he is in the status of conditioning. Either it is nirupadhik, free from designations, or sa-upadhik, with designations. Jada sanga krame, jada abhimani জীবের উপাধি, সেই উপাধি ক্রমে জড়ীয় শরীরে ও ওই শরীরের অনুগত সমস্ত ব্যাপারে যে অহন্তা ও মমতা জন্মে তাহাই জীবের জড়াভিমান বা দেহাত্মা অভিমান. The living entity's materialistic conception due to association with matter is what is referred to as the designation for the jiva. That designation, because of that designation, the living entity develops a sense of I and mine in all affairs related to his body. That itself is the living entity's material conception or his bodily conception. Deha Atma Abhiman, when the living entity considers his body to be himself. Jadabaddha Jeever Karja Sa Upadhik, আর যাহারা জড়ে বদ্ধ হন নাই বা যাহারা ভগবত কৃপা বলে জড়মুক্ত হইয়াছেন তাহাদের কার্য নিরুপাধিক. The activities of the living entities which are bound to matter are all designated, and the activities of those living entities who have never been bound to matter or who have been freed from matter by the mercy of the Supreme Personality of Godhead are all undesignated, free from designations. विशुद्ध आत्मा निरुपाधिक कार्य नामई भगवत सेवा. The undesignated activities of the pure soul is named service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Are Jadabaddha Atmar Sopadhik Karjer Namai Karma. And the designated activities of the soul that is bound to matter is referred to as karma. Jadamukta hoile jiver karjo nirupadik hoy. When the jiva becomes liberated from matter, then all of his activities become undesignated. Sopadhik avasthaye jiver karmanushthan opariharjo. As long as a living entity is in a designated status, his engagement of karma is unavoidable. जीवेर स्वरूप तत्ते प्रेम सेवाए सहज धर्म সেই ধর্ম বদ্ধ অবস্থাতেও জীবের সঙ্গে সঙ্গে সুতরাং আছে. As a part of the living entity's very nature, or intrinsic to the living entity's nature, is service in love to the Supreme Lord. This is its natural dharma, it's a very natural activity of the living entity. Even in the conditioned status, that feature of the jiva is always there with the jiva. Bahirmukha karmer prabalata projukta taha luptaprai thake. Because of the force of activities that are averse to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, that feature of the living entity is practically dormant. सत्संग क्रमे जे सकल जीवे उक्त बहिर्मुखता खर्ब হয় ওই সকল জীবে সেবাবৃত্তির প্রবলতা হয় তখন তাহাকে কর্মমিশ্রা সাধন ভক্তি বলে. By associating with the saints, the living entities aversion, which has been stated here, reduces. So for those living entities, their nature of service to the Supreme Lord, it becomes strong. Then that is referred to as karma mishra sadhana bhakti. সেবাবৃত্তি প্রচুর রূপে বলবতী হইলে কর্ম ক্রমশঃ ভগবত বহির্মুখতা রূপ স্বস্বরূপকে পরিত্যাগ করে তখন উহা কেবলা ভক্তিতেই পর্যবসিত হইয়া যায়. When the function of service to the Supreme Being becomes abundant and strong, then karma gradually abandons its very nature as being averse to the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Then it finally concludes or matures into Kevala Bhakti. জড়যন্ত্রের কার্যের ন্যায় মানবদিগের কর্ম জ্ঞানশূন্য নয়. The activities of human beings are not devoid of knowledge like the activities of material machines. যে কর্ম মানব কর্তৃক কৃত হয় তাহাতে জ্ঞানের সত্তা লক্ষিত হয়. The existence of knowledge is seen within activities performed by human beings. মানবের জ্ঞান আলোচনা কখনো কর্মশূন্যতা লাভ করে না. আলোচনায় জ্ঞানের জীবন. The deliberation of the knowledge of man never becomes absolutely devoid of activities or karma, because such deliberation is the very life of knowledge. ওই আলোচনাও একটি কর্ম বিশেষ, and that deliberation is also a certain type of activity. এই জন্য স্থূলবুদ্ধি ব্যক্তির নিকট কর্ম আর জ্ঞানের ঐক্য প্রতীত হয়। Therefore people of gross intelligence, they consider that karma and jnana to be one. तात्विक विचारे कर्मेर स्वरूप और ज्ञानेर स्वरूप पृथक. By philosophical analysis we distinguish between the nature of karma and the nature of knowledge. তদ্রূপ কার্যকালে কর্ম ও জ্ঞান হইতে ভক্তিকে পৃথক বলিয়া নির্দেশ করিতে না পারিলেও তাত্ত্বিক বিচারে কর্ম ও জ্ঞান হইতে ভক্তির পার্থক্য সিদ্ধ হয়. Similarly, in the practical field, even though they cannot distinguish bhakti as being something separate from karma and jnana, through philosophical analysis, bhakti can be isolated from karma and jnana. निरुपाधिकी चिन्मयी प्रेम सेवाई भक्तिर सिद्ध स्वरूप. Service to the Supreme Being with love is and which is free from designations and which is fully spiritual. This is the Siddha Swarup, which means this is the eternally established nature of bhakti. যদিও জড়বদ্ধ অবস্থায় তাহার স্পষ্ট নির্দেশ করা সহজ নয়, তথাপি তদ বিষয়ে জাতশ্রদ্ধ ব্যক্তিগণের নিকট তাহা সহজে প্রতীত. Even though in the status of being conditioned by matter, it is not easy to clearly understand this, still for those persons in whom faith and respect in bhakti has awakened, for them it is naturally revealed. They can naturally perceive it, they can naturally understand. যাহারা রুচিক্রমে ভক্তি তত্ত্বের আলোচনা করিয়া থাকেন তদ বিষয়ে কেবল তর্কের আদর করেন না, তাহারাই ভক্তি তত্ত্ব অবগত হন. Those who analyze the nature of bhakti through taste, they don't respect pure logical argumentation. In fact, these are the people who understand the nature of bhakti. This is a direct translation of a statement of Rupa Goswami in Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu. Pure logic means when you use logic exclusively to understand the teachings of scripture, then you are said to be using Shastra Yukti. You are using scriptural argumentation. This is not pure logic. Pure logic means you do not accept scriptural authority and you simply try to argue on the basis of logic and try to come to conclusions. So those who are progressing in bhakti through taste means through direct experience, they don't respect this form of pure logic. They go by Shastra and logic which is subordinate to Shastra, which follows Shastra. Okay, the next paragraph is okay. Anyway, I started a little late, so let me deal with one more paragraph. Bhakti dvividha, arthat kevala o pradhanibhuta. Bhakti is of two types, kevala and pradhanibhuta. Kevala means exclusive, pradhanibhuta means maximized. Kevala bhakti swatantra o karma jnana gandha shunna, tahakai nirupadik prem, nirupadik seva, ananya bhakti, akinchana bhakti. No, akinchana. There's a punctuation error here. So it is this Kevala Bhakti which is independent, which does not even have the scent of karma or jnana. It is this which is known as undesignated love, undesignated service, Ananya Bhakti, exclusive Bhakti, Akinchana Bhakti, Bhakti which does not, in which you care for nothing other than Krishna's pleasure, and so on. These are terms which are used to refer to Kevala Bhakti. Bhakti, there's definitely a printing mistake here. It should be Pradhanibhuta Bhakti तीन प्रकार, अर्थात कर्म प्रधानीभूता, ज्ञान प्रधानीभूता और कर्म ज्ञान प्रधानीभूता. This is taken from Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur's commentary. Pradhanibhuta Bhakti is of three types. That in which Bhakti predominates over karma, that in which Bhakti predominates over jnana, and that in which Bhakti predominates over karma and jnana. Je karma ba je jnane bhaktir pradhanata, o karma ba jnaner bhakti dasatto lakhito hoy, সেই কর্ম বা জ্ঞানের সহিত যে ভক্তিবৃত্তি আছে তাহাকেই প্রধানীভূতা ভক্তি বলা যায়. That in which karma or jnana accepts the predominance of bhakti, and karma and jnana become servants of bhakti. And this is very clearly seen. It's very clearly seen that bhakti is predominant over karma and jnana, and that karma and jnana are servants of bhakti. Then the activity of karma and jnana are present along with the functioning or activity of bhakti. Then this combination is what is referred to as pradhanibhuta bhakti or maximized bhakti. যে কর্মে বা জ্ঞানে ভক্তি বৃত্তির প্রাধান্য নাই, অর্থাৎ কর্ম বা জ্ঞানেরই প্রভুত্ব লক্ষিত হয় এবং ভক্তি কেবল কর্ম ও জ্ঞানের দাসীর ন্যায় পরিচর্যা করে, সেই কর্মের নাম কর্ম ও সেই জ্ঞানের নামই জ্ঞান. ওই জ্ঞান বা ওই কর্ম বা জ্ঞানকে ভক্তি নাম দেওয়া যায় না. Whereas when one engages in karma or jnana and the functioning of bhakti is not predominant, in other words, one can perceive that karma or jnana are the masters and bhakti simply serves karma or jnana like a maid servant. Then that form of karma has the name karma, and that form of jnana has the name jnana. That form of karma or jnana cannot be referred to by the name bhakti. In other words, when in the combination karma or jnana are predominant, bhakti is not predominant, then that entire combination cannot be given the name bhakti. Technically it is gunibhuta bhakti, minimized bhakti, but the acharyas like Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, they do not refer to this as bhakti. कर्म ज्ञान और भक्ति स्वभावतः परस्पर भिन्न भिन्न स्वरूप. कर्म ज्ञान and bhakti are naturally different in characteristics from each other. They are mutually different from each other. অতএব তত্ত্ব বিচার দ্বারা কর্মকাণ্ড জ্ঞানকাণ্ড और भक्ति के पृथक করা হইয়াছে. Therefore, through philosophical analysis, Karmakanda, Jnanakanda, and Bhakti have been separated from each other. Okay, I'll stop with this. Vanshakalpatarubhyasya kripasindhabhyev cha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo namo namaha. Okay, why did I click this? I should click this. Thank you very much.